Thank you very much. My name is Ambassador Dr. Deepak Vohra. I'm a special advisor to 3 heads of government in Africa, South Sudan, Guinea-Bissau, and the Kingdom of Lesotho. And in India, I'm a special advisor in the Ladakh Autonomous Hill Development Councils in Kargil and Leh. My work focuses on development of remote areas. You've asked me a very interesting question about moving from being on the television, someone presenting the news, interviewing people, to someone who believes that he is making some kind of an impact on the future, on the destiny of his city and of his country. Because if I am anything, I am Indian. The transition was a natural progression. My appearance on Doordarshan, on India's national television network, was also something which was accidental. I was a student at St. Stephen's College, Delhi. One fine day, while I was having a cup of coffee in the cafeteria, I saw somebody from the corner of my eye who was staring at me. So I got a little frightened that this fellow was looking at me all the time as though he's angry with me about something. And then I told my friends, you better stay around in case we get into a fight, you'll have to defend me. So this person walks up to me and says, what's your name? And I said, well, my name is Deepak Vohra. And he says, I've been looking for you. I said, now I've really had it. I don't know what I've done wrong. He says, I'm a television producer. Would you like to become a star? And my first question was, how much money will you give me? So I did go to television. I started a program. At that time, Doordarshan used to telecast for 1 hour per day, 7 days a week. And I started doing a youth program. From youth program, I moved to quiz. From quiz, I moved to a number of other programs which became very, very popular. There was a program called Youth Forum. Then there's What's the Good Word? There was the Bonvita quiz contest. And then many years later, I started the morning show on Doordarshan. So it was a natural progression. I joined the Foreign Service in 1973. I've served in many, many countries, 13 in fact, and as ambassador in 6 countries, in Armenia, in Georgia, in Sudan, South Sudan, Poland, and Lithuania. And wherever I have been posted, I have tried to do my best as a representative of India so that the world is able to see, perhaps through my personality, through my own actions, through my own persona, the change that is taking place in India, because there is a tremendous change taking place and every Indian today represents that change. It's what I refer to as the change of the 3 S's, the triple S change. India's rising self-confidence, India's rising self-esteem, and India's growing self-reliance. That's a very interesting question, and I have to make some confessions. My initial postings to Africa were not something that I was very excited about, particularly when I was posted to Tunisia, which is North Africa, and then to Nigeria. And from there, I was covering Benin, Cameroon, and Chad. But slowly, I began to realize that the respect that India enjoyed in Africa, India was a country that many African nations looked up to, because not too many years ago, we had been at the same level of development as the African countries found themselves then, and many find themselves now. So they wanted to know how India was able to achieve what it had achieved, and I was more than happy to interact with the leadership of these countries and tell them about our experiences. One of the reasons I believe that a certain level of trust was established between us was that I would never tell them, unlike, I must acknowledge, our European colleagues, I would never tell them what to do. But based on our experience, I would certainly share with them what not to do. They understood this, they appreciated this. Some of them even told me, the Europeans come to us to give us guidance. Other countries come to give us advice. India comes to give us assistance. And that made me feel very, very good. I'll also share another little secret with you. When I was appointed special advisor to the Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Lesotho, which is a beautiful, beautiful kingdom. We call it the kingdom in the sky. It is in the heart of South Africa. We have only one neighbor, that is the Republic of South Africa. And then I asked one of his colleagues, his close advisors, said, why has the Prime Minister appointed me, an Indian, as his special advisor? He could have selected anybody he wanted. And this colleague answered, he appointed you because you are Indian. I can't think of a bigger, better tribute to our nation than what the Prime Minister said. Let me go back no further than the industrial revolutions. The first industrial revolution of 1760, when the spinning machine was invented, the ginning machine was invented, the steam engine was invented, we missed it because of our colonial status. The second industrial revolution, the middle of the 19th century, missed. The third came about the time that the atomic system, the splitting of the atom, was taking place. We missed that too because India was busy with its independence. We were immediately in the period after our independence. Now the fourth industrial revolution is going on. And I'm very pleased to tell you that the center for the fourth industrial revolution, the first one was set up in the US, second in Japan, third in China, the fourth in India. People recognize the grey revolution in India, the enormous talent. We have 82% literacy in India in 2018. By 2022, we will have 100% literacy. And Kerala, of course, like in everything else, leads the way. The rest of the country looks up to Kerala as a role model. What you do today, the rest of India will do tomorrow, and the whole world will do the day after. So I'm very, very pleased to see the progress India is making. Let me give you a couple of examples. We've talked about India's brain power. For example, in November 2015, when the International Solar Alliance was first conceived, we made a commitment, a voluntary commitment, that we would produce 20 gigawatts of solar energy. One gigawatt is 1 billion watts with 9 zeros. We would do it by 2022. Some people were skeptical. They said, you will not be able to do it. You don't have the resources. You don't have the technology. You don't have the brain power. We silenced them all. We did it 4 years ahead of schedule in January 2018. Then, in March of 2018, we gave ourselves another target to do 100 gigawatts of solar energy, clean energy, eco-friendly energy by 2022. And I'm very happy to state, based on what I've just heard, that we might be able to achieve it well ahead of schedule, and by 2022, we might be able to reach 150 gigawatts. One of the African leaders whom I'm privileged to serve, and I shall not name him for obvious reasons, once asked me to solve a particular issue. And I said to him, sir, this is not my area of expertise. I'm not sure that you should be seeking my input. He said, no, give it a shot. And he said, I accept responsibility. So I told him, I suggested to him, I said, Your Excellency, perhaps this is what you should do. He did it. His problem got solved. Then he calls me and he says, Deepak Vohra, Ambassador Deepak Vohra, do you think you are God? I said, Your Excellency, I'm an Indian. That's the next best thing. I'm sitting in an airport in Germany, and there's a German fellow banging away on his laptop. And he was getting very angry. I could see he was going red and blue and green in the face. So he then sort of looks at me. His computer is not working, his laptop. He looks at me and he says, where are you from? So I got a little concerned and I said, sir, I'm from India. He said, India? I thought so. Now fix my laptop. So I said, sir, I know very little about information technology. He said, sorry, you're an Indian, you fix it. Well, I couldn't let him down. I couldn't break his opinion about Indians. So I took his laptop. I rebooted it. It started working. I gave it back to him. And he said, you know, you Indians, you're going to rule the world. You were able to repair this computer. That's why the world says that if you are Indian, you're an IT superpower. I felt very pleased when he said that. There's another story that I'd love to tell you, narrated to me by a friend. There was this fellow who went to a venture capitalist in the United States and said, I need $20 million for my startup in information technology. So they all said, yes, of course, there's no problem, we'll give it to you. Now let's sign the agreement. So he signed the agreement. One of them saw his name, said, but your name is Murphy. He said, yes, of course, I told you my name is Murphy. They said, oh, sorry, we heard Murthy, so we were ready to give you the money. We won't give it to you now. Because they felt that if we are Indian, and today you know Indians head some of the largest multinational corporations in the world, that's a recognition of our talent, our commitment, our ability. There are countries like the United Arab Emirates. A large part of their development has been the brain power and the brawn of Indians. In Africa, ditto. And now in India, we are seeing what we are capable of. The term superpower is a loaded word, whatever it means, but certainly we are the third largest economy in the world in PPP, purchasing power parity terms. The universe, the Global Firepower Index based in Geneva, Switzerland, acknowledges us as the fourth most powerful military in the world. Only yoga has an international day, not any of the other systems of the other countries. India's political influence is growing. I think we are absolutely unstoppable. And if it comes to India's acceptability in the world, we are already the greatest superpower. I don't believe it's a problem. It's certain that China has overtaken us. We started at the same level. They have a system, a political system that is different from ours. Ours is a rambunctious, noisy democracy, but it's the best system that we could have had in a country as diverse as India. We've not done too badly. People say China is the factory of the world. People acknowledge that India is the back office of the world. Nobody feels threatened by a back office. People do feel threatened by a factory because your own jobs are going there. And today the movement that we are seeing all across the so-called developed world is that they are angry that their jobs are going to China. They want to bring them back. In fact, the present President of the United States also said that one of my priorities is to bring jobs back to the United States. Whereas, through the power of information technology, their jobs are not threatened. It's outsourced. We perform better for a smaller amount of money, and the world acknowledges that. So I don't compare ourselves to China. We are following different paths to development, but the whole world today says, and I quote what somebody has written, we feel threatened by China, we feel reassured by India. What can be a greater tribute to India's tradition of peace, harmony, non-violence? And when the Prime Minister of India says, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, together with everybody, progress for everybody, he's only rephrasing what the ancient wisdom of India has been. Those who say this is yours and that is mine, those are small minds. For those who have vision, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the whole world is one family. Well, let me put it across to you like this. First, this concept of first world, second world, and third world is an invention that we reject. We have only one world. We are different parts of the same world. As far as the Kingdom of Lesotho is concerned, it became independent in the mid-60s. It was a British protectorate. We have not achieved our potential. We have huge reserves of water, that's our biggest resource, and diamonds, which we are now opening to the world. Water we supply to South Africa, which is our immediate neighbor on all sides. Diamonds, some Indian companies are also involved in mining, but our progress has not been as quick and as rapid as it should have been. The political system that we have inherited is very complicated. We've had military interventions, we've had attempted coups, we've had very quick changes, because our democratic system is based on the principle of a majority of seats by your party plus proportional representation. Even I, despite being special advisor, I don't understand this system. We've had coalition governments, and coalition governments by definition are not very stable. Yes, as far as telephony is concerned, in Lesotho we are experimenting with 5G telecom, as we are doing in India. Lesotho is a smaller country, population of 3 million. We should be able to get some results from there. And then perhaps the international companies, the Indian companies, will upscale it to a country the size and diversity of India. Let me also share with you, to all those who are watching this, some people opposed the Aadhaar system in India. We have about 1.3 billion Aadhaar cards, which has all the information about you. We are using Aadhaar, and I say this with authority, not to spy on people, but to give you the right to be known as an individual. Some people have said it's an intrusion on my privacy. my response has always been, do you want protection or privacy? The government of India, the military of India, the people of India are determined to safeguard our safety and security, and we will do it. Because once we set our minds to it, we can do it. Let me tell you another little story which my father told me and which has stayed with me ever since. There was this great emperor 2,200 years ago of North Africa. His name was Hannibal Barca. He didn't like the Roman Empire because they had slaughtered his father, Hasrubal. So he decided one day when he came of age and he became the emperor himself that he would take revenge on the Roman Empire. He called his generals, he said, I have 27 or 37 war elephants. I'm going to attack Rome with them. His generals pointed out, in order to drive your elephants to Rome, you'll have to cross the Alps mountains. You're looking at 11,800, 900 feet. To which he said, well, so what? The generals responded, Your Majesty, there is no way that you can take your elephants across the Alps. And Hannibal Barca responded, and that has inspired me from my childhood. He said, Generals, you are telling me there is no way. I, Hannibal Barca, I assure you that I will either find a way or I will make a way. Now, with that kind of spirit that we have in India, we can achieve anything. Another great childhood hero of mine, people might laugh, was Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan is considered a great tyrant. He certainly was. But there was something that he said which again inspired me and continues to do so to this date. He said, if you are afraid, then don't do it. But if you do it, then don't be afraid. Like a human being goes into a stage we call puberty, when he or she is 13, 14, 15, when the body's hormones go wild. So it is with a country which is in its third generation of independence as India is. There is a demand, there is introspection, there is questioning, why couldn't we do better given our human resource, given our natural resources, given whatever we possess, we should have been able to do much better. That certainly is a question that everybody should ask, learn from our mistakes, and then understand that today the renaissance of India, the renewal of India, the resurgence of India is going on. It happened in Japan after the Meiji Restoration. It happened in China after the communists came to power. It happened in the United States after the Civil War fought over. One of the issues was slavery. There was a national resurgence. There are three elements of national resurgence. One is self-confidence. Second is self-esteem. The third is self-reliance. India's unity goes beyond culture, religion, caste. India's is a conceptual unity. It's a civilizational unity. People talk of India's unity in diversity. I prefer to refer to the diversity in India's unity. The unity cannot be questioned. It has diverse manifestations. That is the vitality of India. We continue to survive. We continue to thrive. They have not been able to destroy us. And this is because in the whole world, the most beautiful country, the best country is India. That's why so many foreigners came. There have been invasions all along, but no one was able to strike at the basic unity of India. The heart of India is so strong, no one can destroy it.